Hey
We're
guys.
back, day 2 with Andrew Hochradel.
Hello.
And Ari, and we're doing graphic design.
Yes.
If you didn't catch us yesterday, don't worry, it's still going to be very worth your while.
Yep, and if you're wondering what we're working on and what we did yesterday, I actually put the whole creative brief that we looked at yesterday on my Instagram. You can go check it out. It's just my full name, Andrew Hochradel, an alphabet soup. Just keep typing letters and eventually I'll pop up. So go check that out if you need to look at the creative brief and see a little bit what we did yesterday, and we'll try to recap as we go to kind of catch people up.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, hello Bruno, Aria.
Hi.
Hello, welcome to the, Jonathan Brisson. Hello, yes, sushi shirt. That is a tongue twister.
We should practice our articulation.
Yes.
Dr. Seuss's sushi shirt.
The Human Torch was denied a bank loan. Yes.
Let us know where you're from because we want to know. We're here in San Francisco.
Yep.
And we're wearing our sushi shirts. And we had a lot of people from all over the world yesterday. I was going to say last year. Yesterday. So let us know.
Yes. No, I did not eat good sushi in San Francisco. I don't eat seafood.
Oh,
I
you
know.
only wear seafood.
I only wear seafood. Yeah, my brand is like, I wouldn't say it this way. I wouldn't eat seafood, but I would wear seafood. Yes. Yeah, it's definitely on brand.
Okay, so we have Boboye from Nigeria, Aria's from Wisconsin, Bruno's from Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Brazil, yeah, there's a couple people from Brazil. Hello.
Anthony is from Puerto Rico. My friend Munir from Morocco. Good
San
to see
Diego,
you.
that's out my way. See you at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Oh, Shauna recommends the seafood at Fisherman's Wharf.
Yeah.
I prefer the chocolate near Fisherman's Wharf. That counts, right? Like over at Ghirardelli? It's like kind of fish, but more delicious.
There's also sourdough bread that you can
Oh my
eat.
gosh, bread.
Can you eat that?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
No, I am all the gluten. I am
Glutenful.
super into gluten. Yes.
John is from Jersey.
Aria, yes! You're like the only person that's ever known what this is from. This is a Willy Wonka sticker here.
Really?
Yeah, I made this. So it's a super, super niche reference.
The egg.
Yes, when they are weighing the eggs and Veruca stands on it and she's like, I want it now. And then it goes to bad. Yes.
I want it now.
Yes.
And then she falls.
Yes, which in that song, she says that she wants a bean feast. And I'm like, if I was having a feast, I wouldn't just want like a smattering of beans. I don't know, it's weird. Yes, sorry.
Okay, so
we are starting
Freddie-
on track.
Let me just say hi to Freddie from Bogota because he told us Bogota twice.
Oh,
or 3
yes.
times. So want to make sure
hello.
Bogota gets representation.
Yes.
Aaron says bad egg. Yes, Veruca was a real bad egg.
She was, maybe it is a jelly bean feast. That's a good point, Lindsay. I'd be into a jelly bean feast.
Because she wants 10,000 tons of ice cream.
Yep.
And so it seems like a sweet thing.
Yes.
Also Willy Wonka.
Willy
like,
Wonka's one
it's
of
a
my favorite
candy
movies.
movie,
Yeah.
right?
So I grew up watching old cinema, which is part of the project that we're working on today. And Willy Wonka was one of my favorite movies growing up. And I hadn't seen it forever, and they re-released it in theaters last year, I think. And literally, like, the credits started, and I just started sobbing, like, immediately. I'm like, this isn't a sad movie. Why am I crying? And I was just so nostalgic. I love Willy Wonka.
Yeah, it is a wonderful movie. So today we are going to recap what we did yesterday, but also we have the Photoshop Daily Challenge continuing today.
Yes.
So make sure you submit for that. So at 8:30 earlier, you can watch the replay of Kathleen going over today's creative challenge, which was using layers. Right now, we're here with Andrew. 11 o'clock, our next stream is going to be the Hood Sisters, and then it's Christina Cox to round out the day. So we have a lot happening, same as yesterday. And the submissions are, again, like yesterday, you can submit yours to be reviewed, and we will look at it on stream.
With our eyes. Yep.
Yeah, with our eyes.
And our hearts.
So if you submit in the next hour, you will be able to see your work on screen in our stream. If you submit it after that, then the next stream designers will review your work. So today's challenge was really cool. It's kind of moody, the way that Kathleen interpreted it, but I'd love to see your interpretations using layers in Photoshop. So if you're not familiar, if you're in the chat pod on Behance, just look at the challenge tab at the top of the chat, and it'll give you all the information you need. and then we'll be reviewing later.
Yeah, I'm excited to look at all the submissions. So toss your stuff in there.
Me too. So let's look at. Let's start with your screen.
Oh yeah. Let's pop it up. So I'm a partner at a brand experience agency in Southern California called Black Roses, and we actually just launched a podcast yesterday. If you guys want to go check it out, it's called The Brand Bar. So this is the branding one sheet that I came up with. I just wanted to show you guys a little project because we kind of got into a lot of the why yesterday. So today we're going to move into the how, and this is kind of what a final build out will look like for me when I deliver to client. Of here's mark, type pairing, some secondary marks. We did a really cool coaster for this. And it's basically a podcast that talks about branding, talks about why, talks about what works and what doesn't. And our first episode just went up at thebrand.bar. And we talked about all the ads from the Super Bowl. Of cool. What ads were on brand, what ads felt like a rebrand, what ads felt really off brand. There were a couple of those. And so we talked about and discussed those. So you can go check it out, go subscribe just at thebrand.bar.
Cool.
Yeah.
Are you going to be on the podcast?
I will. I actually was not there for the first episode because I was here yesterday with you all. So I'll be on episode number 1. That was our episode 0, like a preseason game to where like it kind of counts, but like not toward the standings. Yeah.
Got it.
So we'll be launching episode 1 in a few weeks here, and I'll be on there talking as I like to do, as you all know from yesterday. I love to talk.
You do, but we love listening as well.
Yes, and yes, the one with Gene Wilder. That is, I don't know if it's better. It's different. It's different.
I haven't even seen the new one.
Yeah, with Johnny Depp. Yeah, we talked about like the idea of branding being kind of creating a context for content, and I love all these reboots that are happening. I know people are kind of mad about them, but it's really cool to see the content of a story reinterpreted into a new context, and that's really what branding's all about. And so it's interesting to see. And I don't like comparing them, the new Johnny Depp one and the old one, because they're just different stories. Tim Burton's a visionary, and he wouldn't make the movie that happened in 1971. But yeah,
I like the
fun.
Disney, the live-action Disney movies that are coming out.
Oh yes, I do too.
I'm a big fan of those.
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Tim Burton, and I love Dumbo, and so I'm in. And anything with Danny DeVito at a circus, I think. Like Big Fish. I feel like he's played like a ringmaster 5 times, and I'm into it. All right.
So let's look at what we did yesterday. Yesterday, we introduced this concept of the Credit Awards, which is a fictional awards ceremony, and we're doing the visual identity for that.
Yep, so we'll look through this real quick. And again, it's on my Instagram in its fullness if you guys want to look at it on your own. But we're just creating a brand identity for a organization called the Credit Awards that celebrates the people that are out of the spotlight. So I'll read the brief real quick, and then we'll just jump into where we left off yesterday. So the Credit Awards are a night of recognition for those who are only seen as names on a screen. You won't find those A-list stars or the gold-draped tables. We're the X, Y, and Z list of Hollywood. We are the behind the scenes behind all those scenes. From best caterer to best boy, we're here to celebrate those shining behind the spotlight. And so if you look through this creative brief, you'll see we have a lot of key messaging here. We have some inspiration that we looked at yesterday. And then we have kind of the tone that we're going for. And we established yesterday that we got our brand elements and started building out the elements that we'll be using as we build out this brand. Now, I know a lot of designers will start working on a logo mark first. And I really like to almost create a pantry, right? So have you ever watched a show like Master Chef or a cooking show?
Of course.
Yes. So there's always that moment where they run into the pantry and they have like their basket and they just like are grabbing everything. And so when I'm building out a brand, I really like to think of it as if I'm making a dish. And I need to think about the ingredients I'm using before I go in and try to make the dish. And so right now we're picking out that, we're gonna be using like cheese and macaroni and maybe some Gruyere and maybe some breadcrumbs. And then we'll put that all together and see what we can build with it. So right now we're building out the elements that help define the voice and the brand. And we looked at the inspiration yesterday of kind of these old film titles that we can see here. Let's zoom in. things like this, film titles at the end, the credit scenes that happen that are kind of this long scroll, and especially stuff like this, I just think is gorgeous, overlaid over that image. We were at a dinner last night and one of the old James Bonds was on, and it was good, but the second those credits rolled, my heart was like, oh, my heart, I'm in love. And stuff like this, especially this old Superman, having these ellipses here, having the one person on one side, having the roll on one side, the person on the other, and have those ellipses between. So we want to kind of pay homage to this idea of the people being in the credits. So we started working with this broad concept. If we want to go to the GoPro, can we pull the GoPro over here?
Yeah.
We pulled this concept that I had been working on in my sketchbook. Whoop. Camera 3. Magic. Oh yeah, cool. All right, and we started working on, there we go, this idea here of creating something that looks like the credits, that pays homage to that final screen and kind of that long scroll, but using simple shapes so that we could build it out into a further brand. So things like this mark here, and even playing around with some initials in that style. So we're gonna hop in, and again, my sketches are super rough, guys. It's not about making it look good. It's just about getting the idea on the paper. And something that I learned from, I think it was from DKNG, is they said to sketch small. So when you're presenting to clients, if you sketch small, you need less detail. And that way you're not having to prove that you're like a good illustrator or whatever. Just sketch super small so you don't have to add on all the detail.
Do you ever show clients sketches like this?
Never. Absolutely never.
Rule one,
yes.
do not show.
Yes, if anything, I'll take it in and do like a preliminary concept and take it into Illustrator and kind of come up with a little bit of whatever that sketch is. But yeah, let's hop in and start working on that idea. And what I want to do is, I think we've established that this obviously isn't like the greatest logo. It feels structured, but it's not communicating exactly what I think I want it to. I want it to feel a little more upscale, a little more tailored to the experience. Okay. And I want it to be versatile. So instead of building the logo mark, we're gonna try to build a system, and I want it to just be ever flowing. And I love presenting the client and saying, hey, you don't have a logo, you have a system. You have a way that you can communicate as a business and as a company in all these different ways. So what we're gonna do today is, since we've established that this feels like the voice, that this pays homage to where we wanna go, we're gonna start building out what I like to call brand elements. What I want to do is kind of nail down a system in which these elements could work together to kind of start playing with each other to communicate in different ways. So we're just going to make a new artboard here. A new document, sorry. Let's go ahead and just make these 8.5 by 11s just to get the ideas out. And we're going to do 9 of them.
9?
9.
So many.
What we're doing here is, this is almost the brain dump. So this is coming in and saying, oh, cool, we're not gonna just take a logo and place it on things. This isn't what should we do with this brand. This is us introducing, all right, what could we do with this brand? What are the elements or the ingredients that we're about to put on our shelves in our pantry, so that when we go to make this sweet like gumbo of a brand, we can kind of pick and choose these elements. And so let's bring over the brand elements that we were looking at yesterday.
I just want to say hello to those who are joining right now. Great to have you.
Hi, friends.
Say hi in the chat. We want to see where you're from, and let us know if you've ever designed a brand or visual identity and what you've learned.
Yep.
Because it's great to hear everybody's experiences.
It's true. Yeah, and if you have advanced projects, share them with us. We'll take a look.
Yeah.
So as I was working yesterday, I realized this morning, something was incredibly wrong with what we were working on. I know, I was like, oh, I'm doing this completely backwards. So as we were designing this, right, we're working on these marks and we're picking out these headlines and we're working on, what these brand elements are. But the core of credits is that it's always at the end of the movie, right? And credits are almost never on white. And so they're always on that black background just rolling. And so this morning I thought, when we come in, what we're gonna do, very first thing, is we are literally just going to take a giant black box, and that's what we'll be working on today. because we are working on those credits, it has to be black.
Yeah.
And so for me to get into the mindset of how we're going to kind of create and work with this brand, we're going to drop it into black. And I'm actually going to drop it into a little bit of a lighter black. There we go. Just so we can see some of the artboard lines and so that it's not that full on black, so it feels a little more like that projected screen black.
Yeah, and it feels more vintage. Too.
Agreed, yeah. And sometimes you can get like a good purple in your shadows that gives it a good rich tone.
We have Abdel Rahman from Egypt, Kirby's from Georgia, Felipe from Brazil but studying in LA.
Oh, hello from Egypt. I was just there this summer. Absolutely gorgeous. Went to the pyramids and got to go see hieroglyphics. I taught design history for a while, and so I had learned to read hieroglyphic letters because I love the idea of symbols that represent things. And so it was great to go to old ruins and be like, oh, that is like Ptolemy's name on this thing. And like I could like figure out the letters, and I was so excited. I was such a nerd.
That's awesome.
So what we're gonna do is I want this to be a huge black screen because we're working on credits. And what we're gonna do is I made this huge black box, and something that's really, really handy in Illustrator is you can go to Object and Lock, and then you can lock your selection. The hotkey for this is Command 2. And what this does is right now, right now, if we were to click anywhere, we would be moving this around, and it's kind of just getting in our way. And so if we hit Command 2, or we go up to Object and Lock, it will lock this. So now when I click on it, it's not gonna do anything.
Why wouldn't you make it a background layer?
Because I'm in Illustrator, I technically don't like to work in layers in Illustrator because you can select everything individually. I will just toss everything on there and then lock the things as I go that I don't need. And kind of build off that. And then these elements that we have been using in black, now we are going to convert over to a nice bright white. Awesome. All right, there we go. Cool. So let's start playing around with some of these elements.
Don't forget the ellipsis.
Oh no, the ellipsis. Come back to me. Got it. All right, so there's ellipsis. So some of the key messaging that we had is that we're talking about the credits rolling through. We're talking about welcome to the Z list. We're talking about giving credit where credit is due with these credit awards. And so we're gonna kind of play around with these elements to create some interesting kind of concoctions. The first thing I wanna do is try to create something that, that has the credit awards title in it. And so let's play around with creating a lockup with these ellipsis. And then let's grab some of our type up here so that we can play with actually creating a little bit of a word mark or a system for the words to sit into.
Okay. Let me just mention the Chat and Win countdown is at 10 minutes. And your prize today for Chat and Win is this Moo notebook. It's a beautiful notebook, hardcover, and it actually has this little case thing. And when you open it, it lays flat.
Ooh,
and
lay flat
this
technology?
is a revolutionary technology created by Moo. Actually, I don't know if Moo created it. It's a revolutionary technology that hasn't always been available to us, but it is now. So this can be yours only for being active in the chat.
Yes.
So in 10 minutes, we'll give you the cue. All you have to do is just say something in the chat. You can say, Andrew is an awesome designer.
You could say that.
You can say, I love the credit awards. You can say, how much are tickets to the credit awards because I want to go. By the way, they're not real, but maybe if enough of you want to go.
But there are tickets on eBay.
It's like the Fire Festival.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's
going to be a great event.
Yes.
Definitely sign up.
Yeah, how do you win? 10 minutes. So once this countdown goes away over there in the corner, once it gets to 0, we'll call it out and then just start typing furiously.
Yeah,
and then you can win.
I will let you know in 8 minutes and 56 seconds that you need to start typing.
Yep. Cool. So we're going to keep building this out. So something that we can do is I kind of created this lockup, right? It's paying homage to the name and the title. It doesn't feel custom enough to me yet, but I think that it's a good element. And so what I want to do is I want to create kind of a stack to show that idea of the credits rolling by. What we're doing is I have all these grouped, and we're just clicking, and we hold Shift. And holding Shift when you drag, make sure that it's dragging it geometrically, or on the axis, I guess. And then we're gonna hold Option, and that's gonna make a copy of it. And what's really nice is once we make a copy of it, so let's say we want it here, when we release that, it's going to just make a copy of that click. And now that we've done that, we can use, oh boy, where is it in the menu? There we go, yeah. Object, Transform, and Transform Again. And what this does is it just repeats whatever we just did. So now that we've moved it once, we can keep hitting Command D, and it will it'll keep kind of cycling through this. All right, so this is going somewhere. I think it's starting to look like credits, but I think the thing we're missing is that there's usually some kind of first and last name. Let's actually drop this up here in this space and play with that. We're gonna play with asymmetry here. I tend to either like logos to be super, super symmetrical and super geometric, or just completely all over the place. And especially with type, I think it fits well for the credits to be asymmetrical, to have the rag on the left, to have the rag on the right, which the rag is basically the jagged edge of the type. So there's a flat edge and then there's a jagged edge.
A few people are very excited about the notebook, but don't worry, you only have to be active during the chat and win window, so in 7 minutes. But we would love to hear from you at all times.
Yes.
Someone said they loved, I think it was Cassie, I loved the Fire Festival documentary. Did you watch both, though? Because there's 2.
I watched both back to back, and I was so overwhelmed by
Which
the
one did you watch first?
I think I watched the Hulu one first, and then I went back and watched the Netflix one.
I think the Hulu one was better, but I needed to see both. I couldn't get enough.
Yep.
There was just so much going on.
All right, so we're gonna start playing with adding kind of a first and last name kind of zone to this, and play around with these shapes. I think it's a cool system, right? That could scale out, that can become different things playing with these little elements. So I'm just gonna scale these around and play around with them until I feel like they've kind of set in a good zone that feels balanced for where we're going. This one's gonna be a little shorter over here. This is for like cookie 1, the guy that like brought 1 cookie. I know, right? Role of a lifetime. I'm moving to Hollywood and living my dream. I would love those people that are in movies to hear the call like with their mom. They're like, I got cast in a movie. I'm like weird person at cafe number 1. All right, and let's do this last one here.
Thank you, Sarwar. Sarwar says, very, very brilliant, amazing stream with so much inspiration and learning techniques.
Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure inspiration. Kind of works, need a little syllable there.
Yeah.
All right, so this is going somewhere, right? It's starting to go somewhere. I don't know if it's as balanced as I want it to be. I did want it to be asymmetrical, but I wanted it to be a little more balanced than this. So what I always do, and you guys will see this through the whole stream, we're just gonna make copies of everything. And I'm gonna go back in, and I actually think that I'm gonna pull out a layer of these dots, the ellipsis, just so we can tighten this up a little bit. Right now, we're kind of working on, the concept is there, but the application isn't quite, right? So we talked a little bit yesterday, is a good idea with a bad application is still a good idea. And I think this is a good idea, but we need to match it with a great application. Okay, that feels a little more balanced. I'm gonna play with these a little bit more, just to kind of make these blocks, I guess, instead of a first and last name. Even though that's how they traditionally are, I think that it's still conveying the idea without having that first and last name. Chat, what do you think? Do we need 2 or do we need, is this fine? Oh, here, let's zoom out and we can do options. Hello, chat. So are we doing option A here? Oh boy. Let's do option A or option B. Which system is feeling better for you guys? Vote now. Cast your vote.
I feel like that part above awards could be its own thing. It's like really cool and cohesive.
Yeah.
But as an option altogether.
B.
Seems
Okay.
like B is definitely.
B. 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 B.
Yeah, B definitely looks better, but I really like that little block. Like maybe you could do something with the block of different sizes could be some kind of system, or like how you did with the brand bar logo, you kind of tiled it.
Yep.
It looked really
Yep.
cool.
So that's something that like you'll see in a lot of my work. If you look on Instagram or you look at some of my branding work, I somehow end up tessellating everything, and tessellating is basically just making a pattern of it. And I'll like make a logo, and the first thing I do is like, does it tessellate? And I'm like, that doesn't matter, but in my brain it does.
I think it does
yeah.
because it shows that it is a continuous thing. Like you could make it into anything.
Yeah. Okay, so these are feeling a little big for me. Maybe not. Let's roll with it and we'll see what happens. So I think that this is a good idea for a system and a good idea for kind of creating different lockups. And it could be fun. And this is what I'm talking about when starting to play with a system, is instead of having that logo that like, cool, this is our logo, that it just says the credit awards, that maybe we have something that says, welcome. Actually, let's stack this. Is we start plugging in some of our key verbiage into this lockup and this system. Let's put a 2 over here, and then let's actually do this in reverse so it reads better. People read left to right, and that's a commonly known kind of user experience thing. So we are going to actually start up here and just say, welcome. Weep.
Mauricio says, does it need 4 lines? Well, we're exploring. It's
Yeah,
not
we're
final.
exploring. Yep. So this is definitely something that we can scale. And that's the idea, is this isn't just a word mark or logo that we would use like it is. It's something that we could hopefully adapt and use in a whole bunch of different ways. So what we're doing here is, again, we're adjusting that rag on the left and right. You can click up here on the paragraph, and this is a line right, and that gives us the harsh right. And this is a line left that gives us the jagged left. And what we're gonna do, whip, boop, there we go.
Pattern Boy says, I like the direction of this system. Life could never be so simple.
I know.
But it is. Look how simple it is right now.
There we go. And so now we are plugging in some of our key messaging. And again, we want it to be a little sassy, a little out there. Let's pull this out. It's feeling a little unbalanced there with the jaggedness of those.
We have 30 seconds
30
now
seconds.
for the chat and win. So in 30 seconds, you'll see your screen change. The chat and win's gonna start, and you'll be able to chat for a chance to win this Moo notebook, which is a really cool hardcover notebook with lay flat technology straight from Moo themselves.
Moo.
Very exciting.
Oh, we can have like a rent moment. Okay, here's what we're gonna do for chat and win. Once we get there, I'll tell you. I've got an idea.
Okay.
We'll pin it. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1.
Start
We're doing chat and win, guys. All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have a rent moment. I want you to moo with me. Hop in that chat. Just type moo. Just moo with me, right?
Okay.
Jump over the moon. Are you familiar with Rent at all?
No, but we have
Oh
to
my
do
goodness.
it right now.
We have to do it right now. Moo.
Okay, moo.
Moo with me. Moo. Yes. Last night I had a dream. I was in Cyberland. Oh, I'm so happy that we're having a little Broadway moment. Yes, moo. Only thing to do is jump over the moon. That's what we're doing. Chat away for.
It's happening.
Yes,
now.
it's happening. We're mooing. We are mooing in chat if you're just joining us.
So many moos. Let's see which moo won the Moo notebook.
Yes, Merlin. Me. Yes. We're here. I Rent's one of my favorite shows. I got to go to the live taping where the guy broke his foot. It was crazy. We got through the whole show and they're like, this guy broke his foot. And it was really sad, but it was awesome to see. Moo. Rough. There's a dog in here. Moo.
Are we gonna have all the barn animals
Chat
show
and
up?
win. Oh yeah, we just expand it to
Wendy!
Wendy Martinez! You win!
Congrats!
Wendy!
You will
Wendy
now be able
Martinez.
to write anything you want in this notebook. We'll be sending you one.
Send it. I'm gonna send it, bro.
Thanks everyone for participating.
Still gonna
that
send
was
it.
really awesome.
Yeah, that was fun. Thank you for moving with me.
I need
Much
to see
obliged.
Rent now. I feel really uninformed.
Yeah, you should
am.
definitely watch Rent at some point.
I know.
It's good. It's a lot, but it's great.
It's a gap in my cultural knowledge. So
All right.
the next countdown we have is for your Photoshop Daily Challenge submissions. So we'll be reviewing some in about an hour. Make sure you look at the challenge tab above the chat to see all the details about the submission. And we'll be working with layers today. So if you want to rewatch Kathleen's stream that was earlier this morning, she takes you through all the steps to create a composition using layers in Photoshop. It's a really basic but simple and fun and useful challenge.
Yep. Okay, so there are a couple of people talking about the idea of this kind of being 2 words on a line. And this is the zone of building out a brand system that you're just like, sure, why not? There's a really great Little Caesars commercial where this guy walks into a Little Caesars and he's like, I can get a pizza for $5. And then he like starts ripping his shirt off and he's like, there's no rules. And this guy goes, put that shirt back on. He's like, there's one rule. And this is the zone, guys. There's no rules. And so let's do this. Let's change our copy so that it fits on more lines. And we're gonna end it on the opposite side, and this could be more balanced. Again, the glory of building with a system instead of building a mark is you're not just applying it to different applications, you're exploring how it communicates. Really, we're creating a visual language, and we want it to talk and communicate the way that this brand should. And so yeah, that reads a little bit weird, but I think that it works. I think that we can continue to add things for our messaging. So, sorry, I'm gonna drink a lot of water today, guys, so I don't lose my voice.
You're
for
making
tomorrow.
up for all the water you didn't drink yesterday.
It's true, yes. I didn't drink anything and I got done and I was like, oh. All right, cool. So this is starting to work. I think it's a cool system. Let's start breaking this a little bit and start exploring the things that I'd have to ask the brand designer and be like, can I do this? And they'd be like, yes, I think so. So let's start playing with that. And I want to play around with our subhead. And the first thing we're
Can
going
I
to do.
ask you,
yes.
who would the brand designer be in this situation?
So in it would be me, but metaphorically, what I want to do is now that I've created this system to where I kind of understand where we're going to go with it, or kind of the voice, I want to kind of try to break my own rules.
Okay.
And this is an exploration time to say, okay, we should definitely not do this, or we should do this, or like that was weird, but like kind of into it. So what font is that, please? Oh yes, today we are using
This is Dunbar.
Dunbar.
By CJ Dunn.
And it's so good.
And you can find it on Adobe Fonts. It's available to use, included in your Creative Cloud subscription. And we're in love with this Z.
This right here, like I thought about it yesterday. I was driving in an Uber and I just thought, that Z, like that little moment on that Z is so nice.
You should have told the Uber driver.
Yes.
Can
That's
I
like
just
when I
share with you
Yeah.
something that I've been thinking
That's
about?
when I tell my parents when I'm designing a typeface or something, and my mom's like, "What'd you do today?" And I'm like, "I made a Q. It was a really good Q, but that's all I did today." Cool. So let's start playing with these elements and different possible layouts. And I always just work on 8.5 by 11s. It's a sheet of paper. It's just to get the ideas out there of kind of elements we could use in the brand. So I want to play with these ellipses. I think this is interesting to take something that is one thing and turn it into something else. So I think these ellipses are interesting, but I wonder what would happen if we just broke them out. Oh, so what we're doing here is we're using the scale tool. Oh, I definitely meshed those up. There we go. We're using the scale tool by just hitting S, and we're clicking and dragging and holding Shift, and it's going to scale those proportionally, which means that it's just going to scale them from the center. And we're going to put them in the center of this artboard here. And we're going to make this background a little bit lighter just so we can see our artboard a little better. There we
Mauricio
go.
asked, is there a situation where the brand designer would be another person that you were working with?
Sometimes it would be another person and I'd be more respectful of their rules. But I definitely would explore and say, hey, if you're hiring me to come in and work on your brand and explore things, I'm going to try to break everything and see what it could be. I think a lot of people or a lot of my clients will focus on what a project should be. And I want to show them what it could be. To say, like, what if it was this other thing? Like, what if it was totally on its head and completely different? And so that's what we're trying to do now.
Yeah. Valentina says, it might work to put list under X, Y, and Z to break the symmetry and focus the attention of the reader.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
we can try that. We can try
Yeah.
that as we keep going.
We'll keep experimenting with the placement of stuff.
Yep. So what I want to do is I want to create some just key messaging, playing around with some of these elements. So you use these kind of dots, and I want to create, I think it's going to be a good idea to keep everything vertical, right? As we see that scroll, I want to keep everything in a vertical alignment. And so usually what I'll do is I'll just make a note over here of kind of things that I think are important to how it communicates. Alignment. Let's shrink this. Actually, let's put this in our subhead just so it doesn't get too in our face. So I think this is something that's going to be important as we start working on this brand. And so I'm just going to make a note of it. And it's in all caps here. This is just a little trick. You can go to type, change case. And if you've typed something in all caps, you can change it to sentence case if you want, and it'll fix that for you. So I like the idea of vertical alignment. And let's start playing with some of our key messaging. So let's play with our key messaging of credit is due. We talked about that, of credit being due. And let's keep this super vertically aligned. And again, we're using that Command D just to transform it as we go. All right, that's going somewhere.
Nice poster.
Yep, it's a nice idea for a poster. And here, we're not looking necessarily for specific applications. Right now, we're kind of just looking for ideas that we could use to communicate, right? So this, I think, is an interesting idea using these ellipses. I also want to explore an idea using these ellipses. I know, I never know the right tense of ellipses. And we're gonna blow these up, and I wanna do 3 rows of these, and I like working with kind of symmetrical geometric design, especially since we're gonna be clashing the asymmetry with the symmetry. And I think this is interesting, and let's start bringing in some of our brand elements. So let's bring in this gold texture that we made yesterday. If you missed it, we got super into making some textures, and it was
amazing.
really fun. We're gonna do a ton more of that tomorrow, maybe today. We'll see how far we get.
So 3 dots is an ellipsis, and
Yes.
more than one set of 3 dots is our ellipses.
Okay, ellipses grant. I love that.
Rachel, that's funny.
Fantastic. All right. So yeah, I think.
Ellipses grant can be one of the recipients of an award.
Oh, he's definitely in. All right.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Give
Vertical
us some
alignment,
other
yeah, important. Yeah, give us some
names.
names.
Some names that have to do with cinema or credits or recognition.
Yes.
I'm sure that Jan Eric will find some puns for us. He's in full force today.
All right, so I think once I have the brand elements, so these are our elements that we think work, we think that this is going somewhere and is communicating what we want it to. I like to play with things like relation, repetition, scale, and really just start zooming and experimenting with this. And so I think it'd be interesting to zoom in on this zone, right? That feels familiar to the brand, but it's a twist on it. And what happens if we just zoom in on this and we start incorporating some of our brand elements? So this is the gold texture that we made yesterday. And we're just gonna use this ellipsis here as a clipping mask. And I'm gonna clip this in, so now we have a gold texture in there. We're gonna drop in a couple of these. And again, this isn't about necessarily communicating a specific message. This is about us furthering how the brand speaks and helping our audience understand how the brand communicates. Mm-hmm. All right, so we'll drop that in there. Oh, that was a fun little 1, 2, 3. All right, so that's going somewhere. Let's
Cool.
do...
If you want to see how we
Silver?
created, well, how Andrew created these textures, you can rewatch yesterday's stream.
Yep.
So if you just go on YouTube and search Andrew Hochradel, yesterday's stream will be the first thing that comes up.
on there. Let's actually... we'll save that for another one. We're going to put the silver in here. I had another idea. We want to incorporate some photography because we are trying to highlight the people behind the spotlight. So we'll incorporate some photography, but we'll pin that idea for now. And that's the best part about this stage is we're just spilling in all of our ideas, any ideas that we have, kind of tossing them in and experimenting with what looks good where.
Suriel says Command 7 is the shortcut for clipping mask.
Oh my goodness.
Have you used that
Okay,
before?
no, that makes me so happy because
Try
I'm
it.
like a fiend for using hotkeys, and I have never used that. Oh,
Yay!
my life is complete. Oh, that makes me
Thank
so
you.
happy. Okay, all right, cool. So this is going somewhere, and then let's drop in some of our key messaging here. And again, keeping it very centered. I know that like center aligned type is something that people are not super into all the time, but you know what? It works for this brand and it communicates well. So let's use our key messaging, shining the spotlight.
You forgot the T.
Oh, shining the spotlight. Spotlight. Oops, not all caps. Behind the spotlight.
Behind.
Oh my goodness, guys. my fingers and my brain are doing two different things today. This is a little big, so we're gonna take it down to like 50, not much. And what's nice is I can just select this text, grab the eyedropper tool, and right here it'll resize that to exactly where I want it to be. And let's go ahead and align this to the center. Oh, it still feels a little too big for me.
Jan Eric says behind the dot light.
Yes.
That's funny.
Yes, it is. That's great. All right, let's align that to the center as well. Cool. I think that communicates something, right? It's a little twist on what we're doing with our brand elements. All right, let's look into Sketchbook and see some other ideas. Oh, this is a fun idea. Playing with these elements here, with these credit awards. Let's actually grab this one. And I'm actually gonna make a new artboard over to this side because I want it on a different orientation. Boop. What's nice is I can just create this shape. So I used the rectangle tool here, which is M, and just clicked. And if you click, you can type in the dimensions you want and hit enter, and it will make that shape for you. Then I'm gonna go to Object, Artboards, and Convert to Artboards. And now I have a new artboard here. So we're just gonna drop our black background on here, Command 2 to lock it, and then let's play with this, but we had that idea to incorporate some photography. And so let's go over to Adobe Stock. Actually, let's do a couple versions of this. I wonder what this would look like if it had that gold texture in it a couple places. Right, just alluded a little bit.
Why not?
So what's nice and what we can do here is we're just gonna grab every other one down that way, and we're gonna hit Command 8, and that's gonna make it a compound path. So think about, instead of these being separate shapes, we're gonna make them all one shape. So when we create that clipping mask, it's gonna create all of those shapes instead of doing just one. So we'll do it without it being a compound path first. Boop, 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 boop. Everything's ungrouped right now, so it's a little tedious. All right, and so what happens if we select these all and we make a clipping mask? It's only gonna do it on one of them. So what we need to do is we need to come back and have these all selected, use Command 8 to make a compound path.
And then Command 7.
And Command 7, oh my goodness. Oh, that's so great.
great.
Okay, that's super fun. It's got that kind of gold. I feel like this is feeling regal, refined. Yes, I think that's nice. And I think we talked yesterday a little bit about, it's not centered visually. There we go. We talked yesterday about the idea of communicating, right? And telling a story and almost writing a sentence using icons, indexes, and symbols. And with this, we want it to say the credit awards, and we want it to say like the credits are moving, right? We want that motion.
Yeah.
And so to indicate motion, we're gonna have to pull in some indexes. And so this is great, but what I wanna do is let's experiment with using an index of placement to help inform our viewer that it is indeed moving. And I think that'll communicate the idea of it being credits even better. So let's pull this over here.
So are you going to put it like further down or further up?
We're going to try a couple things. So let's first of all try... Oh, I'm going to immediately hate this. Just know that I'm going to hate this immediately, guys. And so we're not going to stick with it.
Don't say anything.
Yes. So this is going to be for... Yeah, this is not going to be good. So, oh boy. We talked about yesterday motion lines being something that is used often as an index to create motion. I hate that so much. It's just, it doesn't communicate well. So again, it looks bad and it doesn't communicate well. So, she gone.
Roman hates it already.
Yes. You know what I think would be interesting, and this is something that I love, is playing around with the idea of readability versus legibility, right? So we want you to be able to see it, but it's okay if you can't necessarily like read it sometimes. And so I think the thing that I always think of when I think of credits is it always is scrolling, right? And we have this cutoff on the top and bottom. And so let's play with that kind of visual cue real quick. And let's do this. You know what? Let's get real crazy with it and we'll scale it back. So I wonder what happens if we have two versions of this, and I'm gonna use a clipping mask here to clip this whole thing in. Command 7, magic. And I wonder what happens if we...
You continue it at the bottom.
Completely break this, yes, and continue it at the bottom.
Yeah.
Let's see, where did we leave off? Right about there. Okay, I think this is going somewhere. And I think as an element, this could be something that we use to communicate in posters, in different ways. I actually really like this a lot. And you know what? Let's take this mark. Let's take this mark and play around with that idea in this mark. And let's create a version of this that stands alone that is going to have the cutoff. We're going to add another level. Let's see. I made that a compound path. This is going to get weird.
Yeah.
I need to grab another version of it. There we go. So I need to grab one of these. Oh, that reads credits immediately. Yes, we did it. That's what we want. We want it to communicate that story right off the bat so that we don't have to try too hard to sell the brand, so that the brand kind of speaks for itself and the audience can read it easily and communicate what we want to without any distractions. Oh, that's weird. I just realized that I'm working off of that screen. And then I looked at my screen and I was like, there's another one down here. All right, so again, we want to make sure the distance is the same. So I'm going to click drag and then just use that Command D to make a copy. So let's put one more up here and then one more below.
Meredith says, Andrew's commentary is literally the best thing in my life today.
Oh, thank you. What about donuts? Donuts was yesterday. Donuts was the best thing in my life yesterday.
Yeah.
All right, so this is an idea, and let's do this. Let's cut it so that this mark sits in like a weird cutoff and see if that does anything for this brand. Yes! Yep, so that mark, I think, it feels too tall, which is a little bit of a problem for a mark, but I think for a system, it works really well. Let's get real crazy and cut off our name. I'm into it. I'm definitely into it. And I think the aspect ratio is really cool that it's doing that like thin 16:9 kind of thing.
Yeah.
I like that idea a lot. All right, cool. So let's keep playing around with some other applications. And again, we're just building out all these different ways. Excuse me.
It'll be fine.
Oh, I'm slowly dying. Oh my goodness. And this is the kind of thing that instead of presenting this to the client to say like, this is your logo, I would present a sheet that has all these different variations to say, this is how your brand communicates. So let's keep going. I'm actually going to consult my sketchbook real quick.
Take a break because you need to rest your voice. Let's take a breathing break, everyone.
Yes.
In through the nose, out through the mouth. I hope you guys are working on your Photoshop daily challenge because we are going to review some in the next 38 minutes. So that will be the deadline for this stream. And if you want to rewatch Kathleen's stream earlier, she did a whole process of how to create a composition in Photoshop using layers. So rewatch that if you didn't watch it. Look at the challenge tab above the chat on Behance to see all the information about this daily challenge. And we'll be reviewing some and giving you some feedback that you can use to improve or learn new tips. And then if you don't submit it in the next 38 minutes, you will still have a chance to be reviewed because the next 3 streams today will be looking at challenges as well. So throughout the day, you can submit your Photoshop layers challenge.
Yep. More near, any tips on how to choose the right typefaces to work with projects? We went over this yesterday a little bit, so watch the replay from yesterday, but I try to create a character and figure out how that character speaks, and I'll try to match in my brain if I'm reading those words, if that voice matches up with who that character is for the brand.
Yeah, so we explored a lot of options on Adobe fonts, and we settled on this option, but I think it was really helpful, and definitely watch yesterday how you had these words that you used, like classy but not dated, so that you can find a middle point between those descriptors to get your desired result.
Yep. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to start playing around with photography. It's something that obviously we said we wanted to highlight these people. And so I'm going to start playing around with photography. But when I'm building something out that is intended to be a system, not just a logo, if I see myself using the same asset again and again and again, to me it feels like it might become too much of a mark or a logo. And so I'll just flip it up a little bit and say, hey, here's another variation on this. So, right, we're working in the same vein, but instead of having this as that mark that we're going to stamp on everything, we are creating a system of these kind of scaling and scrolling credits. So let's work with photography, but I didn't want it to be the same as this. So we're just going to paste this down here. And we're going to go to Adobe Stock and grab some photos. Oh, no, no. No.
Oh, no.
All right, so let's go to Adobe Stock. Stock.adobe. Oh, there's a mockup. Sure, let's go there and then we'll go back to the homepage. So what I want to find on Adobe Stock, it's a great resource. I want to find like a behind the scenes photo to highlight some of the behind the sceneness. That's something that you'll hear a lot me say is we're trying to capture the essence of things. And so I'll say like the oldiness, old timiness.
Wow, look at that. I want to see those ladies.
Just hanging out.
It's like little, like adult Shirley Temples.
That's great. This is like a Shirley Temple like contest. Like you're just trying to like impersonate Shirley Temple. Yes, Adobe Fonts is like Spotify for type. That is so good. That is such a good idea.
And we have font packs, which are kind of like playlists.
Okay, this is gorgeous. I love this. I'm getting it. So we're just going to click here. We're going to license it, download it to my computer.
Cool. Oh, Daryl is here.
Oh, Daryl Pinnock. Hello. I just did a podcast with Daryl. If you want to go listen to it. It was super fun. I think it's the Passion Behind Art. If you want to post the name of the podcast in chat, Daryl, you guys can go check it out. We hung out and talked about branding and a little bit about my background. Yeah, let's highlight makeup artists in this.
Definitely.
Right? Makeup artists are people that feel like they would be getting one.
The girl who's getting her makeup done looks very sad.
I know. I feel like I could crop right here and
just
put it
get
in
her
black and
eye.
white, and it would be very like emotional. All right, cool. So let's just jump back into Illustrator. And I loved, let's see, downloads. There we go. Those were for something else. There we go. Let's
Doc
drag
says,
this on.
I just listened to it this morning.
Oh, thanks, Doc.
Cool.
Oh, my zoom tool, oh my goodness, was still selected. That was scary. Okay. So we're gonna toss this in the background, and we're gonna do the same thing that we did with this gold to kind of show that the system, a key thing of the system is using these as punch outs. So let's grab some of these.
Jan Eric says that model was sad because she didn't name her layers.
Oh yes. Here I am making clipping mask device. Okay, so the black and white's not working in this zone. So we're gonna grab that color photo. Boop. And we are going to replace this black and white photo with the color photo. See if we can get an eye in there.
Oh.
Okay, that feels like it's going somewhere. I think that's somewhat interesting. I actually think that this might look better on a black color application.
Yeah.
Oh, I deleted some stuff. Oh no.
Oh, the ellipsis is gone at the bottom.
All right, we'll grab it and redo it. So I think that's another element that we can use, is using that punch out to incorporate some photography. So let's go back over here to our list. Where did I put it? There we go. And we are going to start just adding these things in there. So large ellipsis was an idea that worked. Using, let's call them credit blocks as punch outs. And then let's do a version of this that takes over, you know what? Let's do an Instagram version. So I like the idea of these ellipses, right? That we looked at the credits and sometimes they were like stretched out really far.
Yeah.
Let's do a version of that on Instagram and get real sassy with it.
Ooh.
So again, this is when something that's like, oh, that's a weird little element that communicates for the brand. Let's do this. So we're gonna make a bunch of different artboards and pretend like this is a swipe on Instagram, right? Like where you can do multiple posts that swipe. And this is, again, how when you're building out a system, you think about like, here's what it could be, and then you can use this element in another place. So let's do this. We're gonna make this a light gray. Actually, we're gonna make these artboards first. So I have all these artboards next to each other. We're gonna do a light gray just so you guys can see where those artboards are. Boop. And then let's play around with the ellipsis and the title being on here. So let's put the credits on that first one. Let's center it there. We're gonna align awards, and we're gonna put the awards all the way at the other side.
Have you ever used Adobe XD to prototype?
I have not. It's absolute magic, and I watch people do it, and I'm like, I don't know how. But I need to get in and learn it because it's an amazing program from what I've seen.
Tim
Super
says
helpful.
you could prototype the swipe in Adobe XD.
Yep.
That could be really helpful.
All right, so I'm just gonna grab this space. So a lot of times if I want similar spacing, I'll make a shape that is that equal space and then just drag it over. And now we wanna, again, use that Command D to get these ellipses to go all the way across. And again, this is just playing with that brand communication of how the brand talks. So we're gonna use that Command D, keep going all the way to the awards.
Nice.
So this could be a fun application, again, for something like a billboard. This works great on Instagram for the swipe feature. And I'm not crazy about how open it is. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna incorporate this idea, right? We actually need to add that here.
What do you mean by open?
Cutouts. So by open, I mean having all the negative space here. So what works, I think, for the brand is that it looks like the credits, and there's too much negative space here, right? It looks like it's like the director title that's scrolling. And so when we're doing this, we need to show that full communication. So
putting things on the top and bottom.
Yeah, let's try to incorporate some more of these elements onto the top and bottom. Again, I think a rule that we need to set in our guidelines is that the credit boxes should always be equal to the size of the text. So I'll note that, yes. So let's definitely have these cut off. And let's do this. Let's try to do, oh, that's pretty close. Close enough for me. All right. Doop. All right, this is maybe gonna feel too intense, but we probably want these to actually be centered instead of centered to this one over here. There we go. All right, we wanna make sure that they line up at least somewhat with these other dots. Boop, boop, boop. Close enough. All right. There we go, and then let's play around with where these land. So let's kind of just drag them out to random areas. Again, we want some kind of visual interest on that first slide. And then some of these other slides maybe have shorter titles. Maybe they don't go all the way across. Create, again, that idea that we're seeing these credits scroll by. And then one there. And then let's just fill in these ellipses that we've made here into the other zones.
Nice. Hi, Paul. Hi, Dex.
Oh, hey, Dex. Dex is a part of Black Roses, our brand experience agency.
Oh.
He is on the podcast talking about brand identities that we did on Brand Bar. If you guys missed that at the beginning, we talked about we started a podcast called Brand Bar that talks about branding, why brands work, why brands don't work sometimes. And we went through and talked about a whole bunch of Super Bowl ads. So if you want to check that out, go subscribe. Like and subscribe, smash that sub button. I know, that's a good old millennial YouTuber. All right.
Chris says your hair is on point.
Oh, thank you. I didn't wear my hat today because I wore my hat yesterday and it had green on it. And it keyed out. So here is my hair. My mom will be excited that I'm not wearing a hat. This is for you, Mama.
You actually have hair.
I do, it's here. It's usually a weird color or completely shaved. So today we are right in the normal zone. All right. All right, that's feeling more like credits to me.
Yeah.
And let's go in and we want to incorporate some of that gold texture, I think, into this idea. So we're gonna grab this gold from here. And you know what? This time we're actually gonna put it on the words because we want to highlight those people. Boo, boo, boo. All right, so what we have here is this is all editable text. We're gonna outline this so that we can make it into a shape, yeah. So we're gonna group everything and then we are going to Command-Shift-O, more hotkeys. Command-Shift-O, and then we're going to Command-8 to make this into a compound path. Then we'll select both of these, and then we'll Command-7 to make it into a clipping mask. All right, we're going somewhere. So I think this is interesting for an Instagram kind of to do that long stretch. I think that would be super fun, especially for a billboard.
I think we should have a keyboard shortcut awards.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness.
You get tested on your keyboard shortcut.
Yes, when I realized that you could start like reassigning keyboard shortcuts, I started doing all kinds of random stuff. And then I really wanted to create keyboard shortcuts that like made sound effects. Like I wanted like every time I got like the magic wand tool, it was like, that would be incredible. So the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna save this because I haven't saved it yet.
Oh yeah,
just
we
in
should
case.
do that.
All right, credit awards system.
Don't do this at home. Save earlier.
Save earlier,
Than
guys.
Andrew did.
Yes, don't wait. Yes, this is in Adobe Illustrator. We are working in Illustrator, kind of creating a brand system. It's thinking about saving. There we go. All right, so let's see here. Where do we want to go?
Roman says InDesign would win the Oscar for the Adobe Awards. Is that your favorite app to use? Oh, you do?
I do. I love InDesign. I think it's great.
I think it depends on what people are working on, but InDesign has so many capabilities, and a lot of people aren't used to using it.
Yep.
But it's definitely underrated in the big picture of things. So learn how to use it.
Make us a font, Andrew. Titus, lucky for you, I have made you some fonts. I have fonts up in my Creative Market if you guys want to check it out. Actually, since we're talking about movies, I actually created this typeface.
Ooh, it's a
Let me
mystery.
look. It's a mystery. Oh yeah, let's keep it black until. It's called Quokka. Quokka. It's named after a little animal that's cute. And when I told the story about my mom being like, "What'd you do today?" and I'm like, "I made a Q." I made it and named this specifically Quokka so that I could use the Q. And this is what it looks like.
Cool.
Yeah.
So was it inspired by a movie?
So it was inspired by, I needed something that was a support for a big movie title. So we could even use it with what we're doing here with the credit awards. So imagine that this is something that's like, what should our movie be, guys? Chat, give us a movie title and we'll plug it in here. And I'll play around with this to get it in here. Whoop. So Quokka I made to be a support typeface. It's not supposed to be like a display headline. It's supposed to be used very small, so we'll take it down to 18, and then it's supposed to be used tracked out.
Oh.
So yeah, this is something that you would see that it would be no movie title. Oh yeah, let's do Underdog.
People are gonna start giving us movie titles.
Yes.
It's a little delayed.
Let's do this for here now. Oh, I know where I'm going. Let's just do where I'm going.
Thanks, Susanna.
Uh,
So if it's supposed to be checked out, can't you just have the font be wider spaced?
I could. I wanted to give it options for people to use. I like to track things out really, really far, and because I made it for a specific use, I didn't want to necessarily like push everyone else into that.
Yeah, that makes sense. You could either be like, everyone needs to use it this way, so I'm programming it into the font, or you could say, I want people to be more flexible.
Yep.
It depends on how strict you are
Exactly.
with how you want your stuff to be used.
So I made it to pair with stuff like this, so that it could be,
cool.
and it could be used in our system or used in a film title that's like presents. I use it a lot for like this presents whatever this, and it's just like a little secondary cutie. So yes, Quokka is in there. There's also a variation of it that instead of having the rounded edges, has sharper edges if you want something that's a little more structured.
Cool.
So yeah, my fonts are up on, I think, Creative Market if you want to check it out.
Tim actually put the link in the chat.
Oh, thanks guys.
So that's great.
Yeah, so check them out. So let's keep going on this. I lost track of what I was about to do with this because I got distracted.
You lost track of where you're going.
I lost track of where I'm going. This is what I was gonna do. So I was gonna play around with an idea of, again, playing with this system that we're creating of using these blocks, but I want to create an idea, right? That movies often have different genres, and I've seen this done before. I think it'd be fun to do a promo that like is a genre twist on this system. And so I wanted to do something that was a sci-fi twist. And so we're just gonna note up here that this is like the sci-fi variant. Sci-fi. And I had this idea to do something that looks like it's getting abducted. So we're gonna use the credit awards. We're just gonna create a big rectangle over here. And we're, again, staying with black and white, playing with that black and white. And I wanna create this kind of alien abduction geometric shape.
Oh.
Come on. 10. I always count in my head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It like keeps me just counting
shift,
all day.
Doesn't it go in tens?
Yes, it was going in tens, and I did 10 tens.
Oh, 10 tens.
10 tens.
Okay.
10 10. So what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna make this bright red so that we can work with it. Oh, it's hideous! Don't look at me.
Don't at me.
Yes, don't at me. Sorry, guys. And I love the idea of using these elements. And again, we just want people to relate these elements with our brand. And so we're gonna start messing with these elements. And I wanted to play with what it would be like if like this mark was being abducted, right? That maybe
Okay.
this is the credit award for best visual effect or something. So we're gonna go ahead and outline these because we're gonna get way crazy. And then we're gonna ungroup them so they're just individual letters. And I wanna start playing around with like, what happens if we start breaking some of the rules of it being very geometric and start having some of these elements being abducted into this spaceship, right? That it becomes a little more playful. We're gonna play with the orientation of these. And again, this is playing with, we want it to be readable, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the most legible. Boop. And this guy's gonna come out here. There we go. That still feels somewhat readable. What? Credit awards. This one, again, they'd be abducted, I think, a little bit less. So let's keep going a little more straight.
I want to be abducted, but not too much.
Yeah.
Just like a little
Like
bit.
a casual abduction. Like, yeah, it's like when you do the thing where you like stand on your toes. You're like, I want that much. Just like a little bit of airtime, but that's as much as I get. All right, and these ones are just starting to get abducted. So I'll keep these down here. Boop.
Tim says, now that's a film noir poster.
Oh, yeah. All right, we're gonna have a choose your own adventure in a second of where we wanna go with this stream. So we're gonna do a lot of texturing tomorrow, but we could get into some texturing today. That feels way too, there we go. I don't want both the A's up there. There we go. Let's do the R up here. There we go. All right, cool. So, right, that feels kind of fun. It's getting abducted. Just like a little bit different. Actually, these should not be moving at all, right? Because if the story is that these are being abducted, these would not quite yet be in the abduction zone.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So it's little things like this that if you're trying to tell a story, it's asking these weird unconventional questions of, oh, this would actually not be that way because it's not being abducted yet. I guess this is being like a little abducted, so let's just tilt it a tiny bit. There we go. All right, super fun. And then we're gonna play with doing kind of a cutout of using that black and white color. So we're going to, how do I want to do this? We're going to go ahead and make this a group again. I'm actually going to make a copy of this just to have it because I'm nervous. So that's up there. We have this. We're going to group this all right here. We're going to turn it to black again. So it's kind of creating that cutout. And then we're going to do two versions of this. And this is something that you can do if you want to do like a hard cut line, is we're going to make a clipping mask of 1. And then I made a compound path. Command 7. That's what we did. Let's see here. All right. And then grab this. Oh,
So
guys,
anything
I'm a little...
that's not in the abduction zone will be white. and
Exactly.
then the rest will be black.
Oh, I'm sorry. We made it hideous again. All right.
It's
and
okay.
Command 7. There we go. Yep. And then we're going to want to grab the other version that is not behind there anymore. Let's go there. There we go. And we're going to want to make this version white. And now when we send it back, we can make this version black again. Boop. And now we've got this fun little abduction happening. And this could be like a key messaging kind of thing. So let's toss the date and time on there. Let's grab our secondary font here. And the goal of this font that we defined is to be a little bit sassy. So we're going to add a tiny little thing down here that says, let's see. For the people you might think have been abducted. Yeah, for the... let's just put the date for now.
I was trying to think of something and I couldn't.
Let's do February 18th, February 8th, 2018. All right.
Do you want to change the number style?
Or
Do you
yes.
like that?
I am going to change the number style. Let's see. We want to do it at, let's do it, 2018. Actually, we don't need 2018 on there. Let's just do that.
Yeah.
So we got the date and time here. And let's put like what network it's on, maybe. Let's put it on Adobe Live.
Yeah.
Right? Cool. So we got somewhere. That's a fun little kind of exploration of how that brand breaks down, how it could build into something else, and start kind of communicating in different ways. This is super fun. Here for the abduction physics lesson. Yes, I'm here to teach you abduction physics.
As you know, abduction physics dictates that anything within the abduction zone will be black and anything out of the zone will be white.
Yep. All right, so we got 13 minutes until challenge review. We're not going to jump into texture quite yet today. I think we're going to do a lot of that tomorrow. But one of the things in our creative brief was that they wanted to incorporate some kind of texture. And so we'll work into that tomorrow. And guys, we're going to go crazy on texture. Texture is one of my zones. I absolutely love it. So we're going to go absolutely ham on texture.
I can't wait.
Yes. Something else that I wanted to try. I wanted to do an idea that this would, again, be something that we could pitch to the client of what it would look like to do, instead of doing a red carpet, to do a black carpet. And so what would happen if we did, right? So this is going to be a general mock-up. So we have this large carpet and we have the people walking down it. And what if the carpet just had like an eternal scroll? And let's go ahead and take these words out so we can use this just as a pattern for now.
Cody says, did I hear ham textures?
Yes, we are gonna make some
Yes.
ham textures, yes.
It's gonna be a charcuterie plate of textures.
Yes. All right, we wanna keep this
Chris is
centered.
hungry now. Me too.
I'm very hungry.
Luckily, we didn't bring up donuts again, but now I did.
Oh, that's true.
Now I'm hungry for donuts
Don't forget about the
and
donuts.
charcuterie. And you talked about Gruyere earlier.
I did talk about a lot of cheeses. Again, we played around with this kind of bleeding off, so I like that idea. And then, let's see here. I want to make sure we have the right spacing. Boop. Just gonna drop another spacer in there. Make sure it lines up. There we go. And again, we have this whole group, so we are just going to Command D and transform this all the way down.
It looks like a
What
keyboard.
our black carpet would be. Yes.
It's like Tom Hanks in Big
Yes.
when he plays the keyboard.
Oh, it does. It totally does. Yeah, so this could be fun, and even playing around with adding some more dots here so that this became a black carpet that went up. And we can work on some mock-ups for that yesterday. But I would usually drop in little like signifiers or identifiers to be like, hey, what if these were people that were walking down? And we could actually put top-down views of people, put a carpet texture on this, that kind of stuff. We can do that tomorrow.
Oh.
Right? But what if this was a long carpet? And you can see just building out this system keeps going and going. It's the design system that keeps giving. Let's see. Let's play a little bit more with these image cutouts. I think that was something that we could maybe put it on some imagery. So let's go back and grab that black and white photo that we ended up not using.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? There we go.
So we have 10 minutes until the deadline to review your challenges in this stream. But if you didn't have time, no worries. You can submit your challenge for the next stream and the one after. So all day today, you have a chance to get your project viewed on air.
On air.
Live and on air from Adobe San Francisco.
Yep.
Welcome.
This is Corey Collins. Yeah, hairspray references. Are we making an ID guidelines packet? The challenge today is working with layers, I believe, right?
Yep. Layers in Photoshop. So you can look at the challenge tab above the chat and see the details. All you need to do is create your project and then put it on Behance, and you have the instructions on how to send us the link, and then we'll be able to view it.
Yep. So we're gonna play. I wanted to put maybe some applications on photography to see how it stacks up. And we're going to grab this gold texture from over here again that we try to use and plug it into a couple of these. What are we making? Oh, what are we making right now? Yes, we are working on a brand identity for an imaginary award show that's a credit award show for all the people that are in the credits that don't get invited to the other award shows. There is a full creative brief on my Instagram if you want to go check it out to kind of catch up if you're just joining us to see what we are doing here. All right, so doing this on photography, let's again play around with what we were doing with the bleed off. I think that was a very interesting look. And let's bleed like fully off and see what happens. I know, it's like a Transformers film for design. All right, and then pull this down here. Let's see, yep, right about there. Interesting, yeah, so something like this, it still reads. You can still understand that it's a credit awards, even if you read it awards credit. I'm like, you get it still. And hopefully it still communicates what we want it to. And then maybe in the middle here too, we can put some of the info. Is the gold pattern a downloadable freebie texture you're giving to chat? Sure, why not? Tune back in tomorrow. I'll put up the gold and silver, or even after this, I'll figure out a way to get it to chat. I have it. I made it yesterday. If you watched yesterday, you can make your own if you want to do that. But yeah, it's a freebie.
You can make your own and then download this and see which one you like better.
Yep. Let's actually add our key messaging in the middle here of welcome to the Z list.
Anel had a good phrase, unsung heroes.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
All right. So that's looking weird. Let's see what happens if we use one of these credit boxes as a container. And there's 6 minutes left, guys, to get your submissions in. So get those submissions in. We're gonna do some review on those in just a minute. Make clipping mask. Cool. All right, let's pull this out and let's see what happens if we put text on this and use it as a container with that gold. It might look totally insane. It might look terrible. We might hate it immediately, like the time that we put motion lines on a logo.
You never know until you visualize it.
Yeah, you just have to try stuff. Like, it's a little bit about trying all the things. All right. Oh, let's punch this out into black. All right, that's going somewhere. It's not where I want it to be. Let's try it in white and see if it feels better. All right, let's try it as a white block. Chat, any ideas with what we could do with this that would make it look, fit a little bit better? Let me know. We're gonna play with it for a second. And sometimes this is the process, is you're like, oh, it looks good. It looks terrible. I hate it. I love it. And you just cycle through all the bad ideas. All right, that feels a little bit better. Yep, I like that. And I'm actually gonna drop this.
That looks like it could be the hero image for a website.
Oh, it's true. It could be, yep, the hero image.
Like, and then you scroll. Oh, imagine the scrolling on the website with the credits.
Oh, imagine the scrolling on the website.
Oh, it's just.
Oh my
making me very
goodness.
excited.
All right, that will be in the Behance version of this, and we might do it tomorrow. We are going to do it tomorrow. Let's say that. So tomorrow in Photoshop, we'll be doing a ton of textures. And you know what? We are going to animate in Photoshop tomorrow. I know it's not something a lot of people do, but we will animate in Photoshop tomorrow, and we are going to make it scroll.
Nice.
Serif is hard to read is what I agree. Like, clip them, maybe knock out the letters. That's a good call. We're going to actually, the serif is probably the problem here. Yep, it is, because we want this to be super punchy and in your face, because Welcome to the Z List is not a sassy little thing.
Have you considered using a heavier weight of, was it Matrix?
Oh, yeah.
Typeface?
Yeah, let's...
It is kind of light. So
yeah,
maybe
let's try that.
Used, you know, a bold...
Matrix. We want like a tall, bold... Oh, yeah, there's something. All right, I feel like it's competing too much with this type here.
What if it's lowercase or sentence case, like it was before?
Gold text.
Gold
Yeah,
text.
we can try it. Guys, there's no wrong answers right now.
Yeah, it is competing.
Yeah, it's competing. Let's do it. Let's do it here. And let's take that suggestion of gold text, and we are going to drop this full center in your face. Gold text. Make it gold. 3 minutes, guys, on submission deadline. Submit your submissions for the submitted submissions.
Sushi shirt.
Yes, the sushi.
Submitted sushi shirt.
All right, welcome to the Z list. We're gonna make that a compound path, Command 8, and then Command 7. If you don't see the link to the creative brief, it is in my bio. Just click on the link in my bio. It's a Linktree bio, and it will have links to the font shop. It will have links to the creative brief. It'll have links to Black Roses, to Brand Bar, to all the things that we've talked about. It's there. So check that on my Instagram. It is just my full name, Andrew Hochradel. All right, I actually like this. I like this gold a lot. I actually want this gold to be maybe brighter than the other gold, maybe pop a little bit more. So something that I'll do every now and then is I'll grab this and I'll actually just paste a layer on top of it that I will make white. So let's do this, get rid of that, bye-bye. And I'll make it white, and then what I'll do, and this is not the right way to do it, but it's a way to do it, which is what I love about Adobe products, is there's a billion ways to do it, is to drop it into an overlay, and that will just brighten it up a little bit. And that way, we can kind of adjust how bright it gets. All right, cool. Welcome to the Z list.
Okay, 2 minutes to submit your challenge for us.
2 minutes, guys. 2 minutes.
Aria says, tuning in again, just finished the challenge. That's great.
Yes, I'm excited to look at your submissions. It should be fun. There's the brief. Tim, thanks for posting that link.
Yeah, a couple people have said, what if you had the credits walking the red carpet? I mean, black carpet.
Oh yeah, yep, yeah. We can do that tomorrow.
Like
Tomorrow we'll animate credits rolling in and creating that kind of full system. Let's see. There was one other idea that I wanted to explore. Oh, this was an idea. This is just a quick idea for a logo mark, and chat. This is going to be for you guys to give me feedback and see if this is interesting. So I thought about doing something and playing with a frame. We're going to see if we can do this idea in 1 minute and 17 seconds. Yes, a feathered effect to the edges. Tomorrow we are going to texture all this, and right now you're like, oh, it's kind of boring and it's just like black and white. You just hold on till tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going to be texturing everything. We're going to be pushing it back to old vintage film. We're going to be doing title cards. We are going to be going absolutely insane tomorrow with texture. Okay, so I wanted to play around with this idea, right, of still using the kind of credits scrolling that we've been working with before, and create something like this. And it's not really reading well. I want it to read more like an A. And chat, is this even worth exploring, or do we like the direction that we have been going? Of these credits. So let me grab the other one. I'm gonna go ahead and round these corners just a little bit. 17 seconds. 17 seconds for a quick vote, guys. For a quick vote, do we want to explore this idea at all, or are we gonna stick over here with this kind of idea? Any thoughts? 2 seconds till challenge deadline.
That's
Make
an
it sassy.
interesting idea.
We'll think about it. We can get started on submissions and see. I like it. Okay, we'll explore it a little bit tomorrow.
Anel likes it. That's something.
Yeah, it could be some kind of secondary mark if we use it with this system in these kind of shapes, and kind of work with maybe some other shapes and lockups to create that monogram. I'm not thinking of the frame from that. It's rough. I agree.
I feel like since everything is uppercase, it's hard to visualize the lowercase a and like remembering what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Yep. All right, we'll play with that tomorrow a little bit to maybe come up with a letter system using these kind of credit blocks that we'd work. Yeah, stick with the old. Cool. That's good. All right, let's do some challenge review, guys.
Yeah, so now we are at our deadline. Let's see. Okay, I just refreshed, which is great. So I see this little box which shows me that all of these are ready for review. So let's go. 10 more.
And today we're working with layers, right?
Yeah. So here, I'm not sure what we're looking at.
Yeah, so it looks like we've layered and played with blending modes on some of that type, on the drip that's coming down. I really like the contrast that you have of this kind of beautiful, relaxed background with the paint dripping. Like it creates a cool little like fight against each other. Oh, and that's a great idea. I'm making a note of that for tomorrow. Play with the ellipsis with the credits. Sorry, we're going back to the project. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I really like this, yeah. It communicates very well.
I wonder what Mellow Sheep is.
Mellow Sheep.
Tanmoy, let us know. What is Mellow Sheep?
What is a Mellow Sheep?
Oh, here's a Mellow Sheep.
Yes, this is,
this is a goat.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, Justina.
This is great. This is, and we talked about it earlier, kind of that true detective of working with different blending modes, working with opacity, working with layers. This is great, and I love the way that you've integrated them all. What's really great here is your use of negative space. I like how it starts on the right and kind of reads, and the way that those birds are going. Everything in your visual composition is heading that way. And so I like it, yeah. It definitely is telling me a story and giving a lot of movement indication for me.
Yeah, that's really cool. Emily, let me make this. Let me click on that so we can see the full thing. Ooh, oh, look at the stars. Look at the stars. Look how they shine for you.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
That's
I wonder
great.
if that's you. Is that a picture of you?
And I love what
else?
you've done here with kind of the opacity and the layers. And you can see how that opacity is kind of coming up onto her cheek. That texture is really nice, the way that you've played with that to incorporate it into the overall. We're going to be doing some like super advanced texturing techniques tomorrow as well, if you guys come back in.
Oh, this is so zoomed. Okay. And then we have Sutrik.
Ooh.
So very moody. This reminds me of yesterday's sun, so maybe it's the same
Yeah,
concept.
it does. Yeah, it does.
And
This is giving me like Sleepy Hollow vibes.
Yeah.
I like it. And I love the texture that you have on the edges, kind of pulling that in. I like the vignette. So the vignette is when it's textured and kind of dark on the edges, and I really like that. Great job.
Yeah, nice one, Sutrik. And then we have Derek. Let me make this bigger.
Oh, nice, Derek. I like what you're doing with the mountains up top, using that magic wand to kind of mask out some pieces. I like what you've done with the birds as well. I think those are the birds from the other compositions that you've maybe put a stroke on. I think that's an interesting take on it for sure. And I love the kind of overlay of the person. It's just telling the story of small town, but it's abstract. Maybe this girl lives there and she's trying to get out, or it looks like she's like making her way. And so I like the story that you're telling with this a lot.
Yeah.
Great use of layers too. Great use of layers.
Well, that's the whole point, isn't it? He's doing what he's supposed to. Okay. Oh my.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there's Legolas.
Yes. We're taking the hobbits to Isengard.
There's Gollum. Gollum is very freaky here.
It's true. Yeah, this is great. I like how you've, we talked about it. I think that they showed on the challenge when they were going over the challenge, the masking out of a shape. And it looks like you've masked that out of Frodo. I'm going to say that it's Frodo.
Oh,
right?
I see.
Right? It's literally like the Lord of the Rings version of like, who's that Pokemon? But I think it's Frodo looking at the tower, and then you've kind of masked the other characters into it. This is great.
So it's the back of Frodo's
yeah,
head.
and he's looking out.
Okay.
This is what is very popular now in a lot of movie posters, is you'll see kind of the shape with other things in it. And really like the layers of masking one thing into another. Chat, if you have not seen Ollie Moss is the king of this, of having an image inside an image and kind of hiding these ideas. He's done incredible work. He's done some Lord of the Rings work actually, but go check that out when you're looking at layers and see how he uses layers and masks things into different shapes.
Nice.
His Jungle Book poster in particular is absolutely incredible.
So that was Jimmy. I guess Jimmy's a big Lord of the Rings fan.
Yes.
And then
How do you spell his name? My name?
No, Ollie Moss.
Oh, Ollie Moss. Oh, Olllymoss. Ollie Moss.
Okay, this is from Holtz.
I want to get out of here.
That's really cool.
Yes, this is from Rent. When we were mooing, there's a moment she goes, I want to get out of here. Yes, it's so good. When I first saw that, I imagined this cow like having this existential crisis, talking about like, I need to get out of here. And then I immediately went, have you seen Moulin Rouge?
Yeah.
I immediately went to this cow like draped in jewelry, singing "One Day I'll Fly Away," like just walking across the plain, like "One day I'll fly away." Yeah, I like this. I like how you've masked kind of into the cow, and it looks like you've used a gradient to do that. It doesn't look like you've used a magic wand tool because of the kind of featheredness of it. And yeah, especially up near the mountain, it looks like you've brushed that out, which is great. We'll look at that a lot tomorrow as well, masking and texturing in Photoshop.
Yeah.
This is great.
I feel like the type placement could go a little further towards the cow because it's really close to the edge.
Yep.
Maybe keep it a little more cohesive.
Yeah, and then even playing with the way that you're breaking up sentences into different typefaces, I would think about the way that you say it, or even since you're making a reference, like the way that she says it of, I want to get out of here. Like it feels like it's all one big sentence. And so instead of doing two typefaces, maybe doing just that slab serif on the bottom of really having like that like punch to it, because it is like a shouted line, could be interesting as well. Oh, and I like that you have the moon in there. I just got that.
Yeah, that was cool. Okay, Alexandra. Ooh.
Hey,
That's
Jason.
really cool.
Oh, I like that a lot. Yeah, this is.
I feel like we're in it.
I do too. It feels very like it feels
My
like this
arm
would
is
be.
in it.
Yes, it feels like it would be a movie poster to like the Bridge to Terabithia. Like if Tim Burton did a remake of Bridge to Terabithia, which is about this girl who like goes in the forest, or like it's like The Secret Garden, but like the scary version.
Yeah.
And yeah, you did a great job using that magic wand tool, masking somebody out, using those assets, and really combining those layers. And I like the way that it's not all blended together. It's really stark, and it really creates that dimension. Great job.
Yeah, very clean lines. Whoops, I did that again. Okay, after Alexandra, we've got Waleed. Love.
525,600 minutes.
I know that song.
Yes, that's like the one.
Yeah, it's so famous.
I love the colors on this. Yes,
Yeah.
Heidi, the colors are great.
This is really moody, but also doesn't make me feel negative. It's just like moody, but
yeah, and I like that you're telling a story here, and again, using those layers to stack things on top of each other. I love that the pencil's there because it helps add to that story that it's not just a book of love. Maybe it's someone's journal of love. Maybe it's someone reflecting on a past love or a new love.
yes.
Great job.
Okay, Anthony.
Birds. Yeah, draw little birds on an empty sky to pass the time. It's a long walk away. It's a long walk anyway. Oh,
Is this from a movie?
Yeah, is that a quote from somewhere? Who's this from?
This is from Anthony Sanchez.
Anthony, if you're in chat, is that a quote from somewhere? I really like what you're doing here. So what's happening on the lines as you gradiate out, that's called banding. And so sometimes when you're working with layers or you're working with opacity, it will pull in banding bars, which makes it not gradual. It makes it those harsh bars. And it looks like that's an effect that you've done. It's cool. I like that it's over that sun circular shape. I like that it's interacting with it. The way that those blues gradiate are very, very beautiful. Yes, a note called banding, yes. And
I love the colors.
I love the colors. I actually like the circle alone, the color gradation that's happening in there. I could see that in like an upscale New York hotel, just like on the wall.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Made it up on the spot. Great quote. Thanks,
Wow.
Anthony. I liked it.
It seemed very meaningful. Okay, this is from
Oh, is it a French
Aria.
bulldog? Oh, is it a French bulldog? It's a French bulldog. Oh, I love animals. That's so cute. I like this. I like this a lot. I think the way that you've masked this city in I'm not sure what the story is, but I'm getting kind of, it's communicating to me almost a clash of this, I'll fly away into the open sky with like, I'm stuck in the city, but like I still have my friend with me kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I like that contrast of having that kind of big open sky with the cityscape kind of like pulled in. Is it a cat? No, that's not a cat. There's no, like, look
I
at the
thought
little
that
jowls.
too, but yeah.
Like the little jowl.
Oh, Aria says it's her cat.
Oh, it's her cat, Aria. I'm
and
so
her
sorry.
cat is even in her profile picture.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, there it is. All right,
Well,
it's a cat. It's so
a
cute.
cat.
It's so cute. It's so great.
Yeah, that's cool. And it looks like you really love your cat. You have a great relationship, the way that you're looking at each other in the sky. Okay, let's get lost. This is from Amy.
Yeah, we are
Wow.
using all kinds of blend modes and layers here. This is part of the zone that we'll get into tomorrow, is just texturing everything, getting like crazy on textures. I love the way that you've blown out the colors, using that color burn in a couple places, blend mode to really get those vibrant colors. I love kind of the story that you're telling. I would watch the halo on the right side. There's a little bit of halo that looks like it's getting cut off, to just brush that out and smooth it out a little bit. But I love this. Yeah, you did a great job. Great job.
Yeah. Is that you, Amy, in the pictures? And then we have Heidi,
Ooh.
the lone tree at night.
Yes. I like it. I like the way that you've separated and used negative space as the positive space. I think that's very interesting, as you punch out is something into white or into negative space that becomes positive space. I love that you're contrasting the moon up there and the layers that you're using. So you're using some clouds that we looked at yesterday. It looks like you're using some kind of grain texture as well on there. It looks like you've got an outer glow on that shape, and then you have that nice gradient happening at the bottom. And so thinking about layers is actually a really great way to learn design, to find a design that you really like and start to break apart and think about it as breaking out into what layers they're using, right? And so when I look at this image, I could just be like, oh, it's cool. But we look and I think, okay, so there's a gradient at the bottom is the first layer. Then there's that tree that's probably the second layer. Then there's a layer of difference clouds that are creating that kind of murkiness. And there's probably a layer of noise behind that that's creating those little vertical noise lines. Then behind all of that is that moon shape. And then behind the moon shape is that outer glow. So think about it that way, of pulling everything out into layers. And when you see a cool movie poster, when you see something you like, then you can go back and say, oh man, I really like this element that they had. I know how to do that layer and how to stack layers.
Yeah, well said.
Great job.
And our last but not least is Axel.
Super fun.
Wow. Very majestic.
Yeah. So it looks like here you are, yes, Heidi, I was dissecting your file. It looks like here you are multiplying or have changed opacity and have two layers kind of over each other. We'll look tomorrow into channel masking, which is another way that you can do this same technique. This is really great. I like the story. I like beautiful photo of the horse, and then contrasting that with, again, the cowboy tells a really great story.
Yeah, really
this.
well done. Good job, Axel. Thank you, everyone who submitted your challenges. And it's great to see everyone learning and developing their skills and also learning from each other. I know that you all have a community and you talk about this stuff and you share your work. So that's what it's really all about. So thank you so much.
Yes, this is definitely from Westworld.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's the submissions for our stream, but you can still submit to be featured in the next stream after us.
That's right.
So
The
if
hoods are
you're-
coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Hood Sisters will be looking at your stuff as well. So if you're still working on something, no worries. You can still submit it.
Yep.
So let's do a recap.
Let's do a quick recap, and I'm
Yeah.
going to tease a little bit on what we're going to be doing tomorrow. So the recap, we're building a brand identity system for the credit awards. We'll come back more tomorrow, and this is kind of everything that we've done today, right? I like to look at the full artboard, and we'll see that we got these brand elements. We started picking out our type yesterday, and we started to work with this brand system that is this combination of vertical alignment. It's using these large ellipses. We're doing the credits as punch outs, in creating this system using these credit boxes and the ellipses, we went through and started to play with different layouts, different ideas that we could use as promotion. Doing something here that's a little more regal, that could be an invite. If we did that gold foil and silver foil, maybe this goes to a client. And then something here that's a little more sassy, a little more focused on something specific. Doing some image pop-outs, doing some overlays on imagery and incorporating that gold. And then we really landed on loving this idea of breaking things up so that it shows the movement. Yes. David, the next session today is the hoods. They'll be working on a brand. My next session tomorrow will be focusing on texture. Focusing on texture because that's something that we wanted to incorporate here. And so we're actually going to do just a little tease for you guys into how I like to texture stuff. So we're going to hop over into Photoshop for a second. Oh, actually, I'll show you guys this since we talked about layers real quick. And I think we can do both. If not, then we'll come back. So when I was talking about doing channel masking, what you can do here is we have this image here, right? That's all in black and white. And then we have our sunset. So channel masking is basically taking all of the highlights and keeping them and then punching out the shadows. And it will do gradually. So it's a 50% black, then it will go to 50% opacity. And so what we can do is we'll go into channels once our image is black and white and just command click on this thumbnail here for RGB. And what it's going to do is it's going to select all of the dark areas. And now when we go back, we can put this layer over. And when we mask it, oops, we masked the wrong layer. You'll see, once we invert it, that it's masking out all of the dark areas, but keeping these highlights here. So this is something that's really powerful if you're just trying to select an area, if you're just trying to get the shadows, if you're trying to put an image in an image. This is a great way to do that.
Can you adjust how much of the highlights show up?
Yeah, so the easiest way to do that would be to just adjust how much the highlights show. So to go in here and then change the curve. So maybe we want it to be a little more highlights. So we'll go there. And then the same thing, go to channels and RGB. We'll command click that to create a selection. And then we'll go up here and select this photo. And once we mask it in and invert it, now it's showing up with more of that so they can see kind of that double tone. And
that's beautiful.
Even if we looked at with some of the submissions, we can play with the opacity. So maybe we don't want it to be as much. We want her face to show through a little bit more. And you can kind of mask it in. Yes, it's amazing. Double exposure. This is exactly how you do a lot of double exposure things. So we'll be working a lot here. We have, what, 5 minutes, 7 minutes left?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to...
Let's say 5.
Yeah, let's say 5. And I'm going to show you guys real quick a little texturing technique that I like to use.
So we've gone into Photoshop now, everyone.
Yes, sorry, we jumped over.
So that we can give a preview of what we're doing tomorrow.
So we're going to paste into Photoshop here our credit awards mark that we're using. And what I like to do is I will do kind of a rough edge, and I like to make things very textured. So to make my own textures, what I'll do is we will do black and white as our colors, and we will render filter, render clouds, and it'll give us this cool black and white. And just like we did, I want all of the black area to go away and all the white area to stay. So we will use selected channels, and we'll go through this in more detail tomorrow. But getting that just gives us these little areas that we have here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to change the blend mode to dissolve. And guys, this is very quick and very fast. And we're going to use this as our texture on that type to just mask it out of this type. And now we have this kind of textured zone. And what I will do is I did the wrong thing. I will change this blend mode to dissolve as well so that it gets kind of weird and wonky. And then I'll literally just copy this back into Illustrator. And what we're going to do is we're going to use Auto Trace. And Auto Trace has all kinds of great little bumps and features that make it interesting and give you that right texture. So we have that crazy texture, which we will go over in thorough detail tomorrow. I know I went super fast, but we will auto trace this with some settings, and then we see that we're getting a little bit more of that texture. So this is something that I like to use to create a little bit of texture, a little bit of grit. And another thing that the hoods do that they might show you on their stream is they'll use the roughen feature. So you can take something and we'll outline it and just go up here to Effect, Distort, and Roughen. And this is a way to add a little bit of texture in Illustrator without having to take it into Photoshop. So what it's going to do, we'll turn on preview, is roughen just makes it super wiggly. That's like the best way I can describe it. And so we want the wiggleness, which is the size, to be down pretty small, and then the detail to be pretty high. And now when we look here, you'll see that it's given us this rough edge. So this is a great way to add some quick texture in Illustrator if you need to. Yeah, fourth quarter tips. This will be all we do tomorrow is texturing. So it gives you that rough edge, and we'll go into Photoshop and I'll add some texture on top of this to kind of give it a little more oomph and kind of play around with keeping it textured, keeping it organic. Tomorrow we'll end up, oh my goodness, the wiggles, yes. Tomorrow we'll end up with something a little closer to our creative brief that we saw with textures, working with textures that look like this, some textures that look a lot like this, that have these rough edges, this kind of inked look. So if you come back on tomorrow, we'll be looking at all kinds of textures and finishing to build out this system into some mock-ups, into some real world applications that we could send to the clients. Yeah. And then we'll show kind of the package that I would send to a client to be able to explain to them.
Doc says if you set the soft airbrush to dissolve, it'll allow you to have a similar texture to paint back into the texture.
Yep.
Then save out the texture as a bitmap and save as a TIFF so you can colorize.
Yep, so that's, yeah, another great thing, Doc, and we'll show you what that looks like, is basically making a new layer. And if you grab a brush, just grabbing the brush tool here, and you make it a super soft brush, as you brush in, if you change this blend mode to dissolve, as you brush in, we'll brush in a color just so you guys can see, you'll see that it does this great textured stippling. So I'll use this a lot if, let's say, we wanted just the inside of this. I would do something like this to kind of just get the edge.
Yeah.
And we'll look tomorrow at something we'll kind of create like a vintage film title. Oh my goodness.
That red looks like blood spattering onto it.
It does.
Like
it does
a
look
murder
like,
mystery
yes.
film.
So we'll be working tomorrow and do some texture elements like this that I use a lot in my work. And some other things like this kind of texture that gets that printed. And we'll get way into this zone, and I'll show you guys how to do like every last detail of achieving texture like this, getting that ink together.
Nice.
And especially this bleeding edge is super easy to do with the ink. And I'll show you guys how to do that tomorrow in Photoshop. If you tune in, it's going to be absolutely amazing.
Stay tuned. Watch the Hood Sisters after us, and
Yes.
stay tuned for tomorrow. It's been great seeing all of you, and we'll see you again tomorrow at the same time.
See you guys later. Bye.
Bye.